Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Life and Drawing podcast, episode 26. And that beginning sigh is because I stayed up all night. I think I had maybe 2.5 hours of sleep. And I wanted to do several recordings, and that didn't happen. I got caught up with our printer not connecting to our MiFi, and so it just ruined the whole. I was like, oh, I should have just have gone to bed because it just ruined my whole plan of recording this podcast. I was gonna do another one, to have one in the bank, and another sort of gaming video for YouTube, my YouTube channel, and at last it's not happening. And so I'm gonna do this really quickly because it's 4:10 and I need to leave for work at 5:30. So, excuse me, or at least get ready at 5:30 to leave for work at, I don't know, 6. So yeah, so I've lost sleep for no reason. So frustrating. So this podcast, this is a new, my goodness, a new pen. We don't say pens. What do we say? Well, it's definitely not a brush, so it is a pen. This is called the Real. You probably see it right here. The Real G Pen. And so just come on. Nothing is wanting to cooperate. I don't understand. Okay. This has not been my morning. So I like it. I don't know what I'm doing here. But it is smooth. It feels natural. And I mean, it is consistent. Other than when I use the India ink, the this. So it is like it sort of like breaks up in the middle, and I kind of like that. And I kind of like that the heavier beginning and heavier ending in the lighter middle. So it gives that sort of traditional feel of using really like a ballpoint or a gel pen. And I kind of, I like the effect of, particularly, if doing bushes and stuff like that, having that darker end and not having to add a darker end. So yeah, so I think, although I like the Real G Pen, I think I'm going to stick to the India brush, particularly for sketches. It just has that flow. Or maybe I'll mix it up, but who knows. Or maybe I'll use the G Pen for mechanical type drawings. And so I feel so distracted, but I need to get this video done. So in this podcast, it's when is it the right time to move on? Specifically when it comes to workplace, so not 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 like a relationship type thing. It's more workplace related. And first thing that comes to my mind is when the drive is gone, or when that honeymoon stage has passed. Because when you start, well, usually you start something new. Um, it is exciting. At least it should be, unless it's something that you're just settling on, and you just have to do it. And so, and in that event, uh, it, I guess it may not be as exciting. And so, but if it is something that is new and fresh, and you are excited about that new position, or the new workplace, you usually have a drive. You're, hey, I want to do well. I want to impress my immediate supervisor, the bosses, or the boss, the owner, whomever. And so you have a lot of motivation to do well, and and so you put your best foot forward, and that may seem deceptive, but it's not. It's just that you're excited, and like I said, it's like the honeymoon stage. Everything's fine, you're sort of looking at everything through what's that saying, rose painted glasses or whatever, so everything's rosy, and uh, yeah, uh, certain frustrations don't matter, because hey, they don't. Especially if you've moved on from a place that was very stressful, and you were done. And so now it's almost cyclical, because you're at you've moved from a place where you were just like, I've had enough. I'm at my wit's end. And we've all been there. I've totally been there. I'm just like, yeah, it's time to move on, and then when you do, the where you're moving to, or where you've moved to, is crazy exciting. You can't wait to engage in new responsibilities, and and so yeah, I mean, it's just utterly exciting, and that's in the beginning, and for some of us, it lasts for a career. I mean, and nothing's gonna be 100%. Well, I shouldn't say that, because there's folks who truly love what they do despite the challenges, and they don't even see them as challenges. It's just, hey man, this is a part of what I do. And honestly, that's a reality. Yeah, that's the reality of whatever we do, even if for some of us that are fortunate enough to do the thing that we are passionate about, there's still going to be challenges. There's still, even for me, I mean, I'm not able to do this full time, but outside of the challenge of trying to reconnect our printer to our Wi-Fi, um, but just drawing sometimes, it could be frustrating if I'm not getting the thoughts in my mind is not aligning to with what I'm actually putting on paper, and that can be frustrating. Or I'm not getting it the way that I would want, It's not looking. Uh, I'm like, no, this is not the look that I wanted. It's not even close, and that can be challenging and frustrating. And you start to question, am I good enough? Why am I doing this? What's the point? And then you just move on from there. You know, I mean, just like runners, sometimes runners have a challenge of just beginning to run, starting to run. And it's like, I gotta do a half marathon, and and it's like that's daunting. And then when they do hit it off, then it's like, oh, you know what? It's not that bad after all. And um, so yeah. Uh, where was I going with that? So yeah, so there's challenges, and there will be challenges. But the first thing, where I said when it's the time to move on, is when you've when that when you've reached a level of consistency, and you're not high on life. That's not the right term. You're not in the honeymoon stage anymore. So you're settled in, and everything's stable, so to speak. But the drive is gone. There's no motivation, and you're just like, so that's one indication that it is the time to move on. And I would say, even before moving on, it'll be healthy to find what you're going to move on to next. So, because you don't want to just quit. One, it's just, I mean, I've been there, done that. I've reconciled with the owners of the place I left, and which was good. Cleared my conscience, and it's just the proper thing to do. So even if it's like you're not, it's the last straw. Your hands are up in the air, and all other references and similes of being frustrated and this is the end. I've had enough. Yeah, just still respectfully give a notice, and that way, you're not burning bridges. So, so yeah. So if the drive is gone, you're not motivated anymore, then it's probably time to move on. So I do like this pen, but to be honest with you, I like the India ink. I mean, I'm not sponsored by these things. I know I'm saying it a lot, particularly for sketching. I just feel like this just visually and and by way of just the tactile experience, it feels like I'm sketching. Uh, this felt like it felt so finished and smooth. Um, yeah, it feels like it's good for if I'm doing line work and I've already have the pencils tight, and I'm just going in the drawer, and I may just use that for my comics, because it helps because like when I do this and I hit the fill, it's not gonna fill all of that. It's gonna fill the entire page. So see, that's what happens. But if I have the real Gen pen and I hit fill, it fills because it's the pixels are consistent and they're not broken. So here although you can see this line, it's not fully connected. And to have that fully connected, I'll have to go really slow and go over a few times. Let's see, maybe. Let's see. So there's pros and cons with that, and so that's why I think I'll use this pen for finish work. Continue with the India brush for when I'm doing a sketch. And I just, yeah, I don't know. I like it. It just has a natural feel to it that I've discovered and I really like. And maybe I just need to use this one more and go from there. So, all right, start afresh. So yeah, so first thing, 425. I gotta roll. First thing, if the drive's gone, no longer motivated, it's about the right time to move on. Second thing, if small annoyances are more magnified and anything, I'm trying to read my notes. When small annoyances are more magnified and nothing is easily overlooked. And so this just goes back to, when we first start, when we're first introduced to a new environment, that honeymoon stage. So certain things we just ignore because, it's no big deal. After we've gotten to the point of after we've passed that point, that honeymoon stage point, certain things become more annoying. And so the thing that we were like, that's not a big deal. Someone took my lunch, or maybe they didn't know, maybe they were hungry. Now it's like, hey, no, who the hell is touching my lunch, or messing with my thing, or moving my lunch bottle or drink bottle from the first shelf to the bottom shelf, who's moving my lunch to the back of the refrigerator, and all my alarms, 4:31. So all these things start to manifest, and it's no longer easily overlooked, and certainly more annoying. And to be honest, I don't think I would actually even overlook something like that from the beginning. I'm just really particular with my stuff, and so if that happened the first time, that would be a red flag for me, as far as like, okay, come on now, what are we doing here, so but everyone's different, and some of us are more tolerant. Is that a word, tolerant? I think it is. Tolerable. No, that's not the right context. Anyway, I sound like Charles Barkley, like terrible, that's so terrible. I think that whole attempted impression was terrible. So yeah, but just small annoyances, and depending on what it is, if you're working in an office space, if the person that thinks they're a comedian it's constantly coming over by your desk, and you're just like, I've heard that joke 100 times, and it's not funny. As a matter of fact, it was never funny. You know, so stuff like that starts happening, and and it's no longer easily ignored. It becomes a trigger, uh, and you're just like, enough. So small annoyances are magnified, and and things that we would normally overlook, it's not happening anymore because we're done. We've had enough, and and particularly when it gets to the point where we get snappy with our responses, and so we're not holding back either. So someone makes a comment, and even if it was just in good fun and jest, we we don't receive it that way. We're totally annoyed, and so yeah. So that's the second thing. So the first thing, if the drive is gone, you're no longer motivated. Second thing is small annoyances uh, um, uh, become magnified in every single way. Certain things that you would just to simply pass up and ignore, um, you can no longer easily overlook them. Uh, and so yeah, all that stuff adds up to, yeah, it's probably the right about time to move on. um, and and lastly, your performance declines. And and honestly, I've been there, in and out. I mean, it's hard. The way I was raised, it's hard for me just to say, hey, I'm not going to do my work. So I'm going to do my work, but the level of enthusiasm will definitely change. And I've been in and out of, like, hey man, I'm just gonna do what I need to do. And uh, you know, for me, it's like, hey, making sure that the work is done. Um, but I'm not putting like that extra sauce of, like that cherry. Like, no, you're not getting a cherry. There's no cherry on the top. It's here. It is what it is. And so when it gets to that point, yeah, our performance, it's just getting it done. It's not about going the extra mile or anything like that. And yes, it's time to it's time to move on. Um, and one of the reasons too with that is, we don't want to poison our mind to embrace that 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 new mindset of sort of like mediocre performances, because whatever we practice and continue to do can become the norm, and so we want to make sure that we don't put ourselves into that trap of, you know what, I'm just gonna do what, the bare minimum, because then you're cheating yourself, and you're cheating your workplace, and we don't want that. Even as frustrating as it can be, you still want to purpose to put your best foot forward. And so once you see, hey, it's coming to that point, and you don't really care how your tasks are completed. And like I said, it can be anything. Be working at a warehouse, working a front desk, working a cubicle. All of these alarms. You're working, you know, a medical field. Your teacher. I mean, whatever it is. I think once we get to that point, we have to recognize that, I think for the betterment of everyone, and not just ourselves, although we're at the center, because we're having to deal with those issues of why am I here and I don't need to be here anymore. We're also, working with other folks, and we want to make sure that we are fair to them as well. And so, and that may, require us being a little selfless and being sure that even when we exit on a good foot. The process of us leaving is done as amicably as we possibly can, and so that when we move on, we could move on in a very positive light. And so, although the drive is gone, we're no longer motivated. Small annoyances are intensely magnified. Things that are fairly minuscule are not easily overlooked any longer, and our performances are declining somewhat. Yeah, it's time to move on. But let's move on in a very positive light, and so that our report would be one that's still honorable, although our perspective has completely changed from once we started. And so that's podcast number 26. When is it the right time to move on? I think we all are fully aware of when it's the right time to move on, and I think we know the difference of just being frustrated in a moment or a challenging experience where we are to the full realization that it is time to move on. And that can be very scary and daunting. But I think overall it's best for our health, our well-being, to not maintain or to not allow ourselves to stay in a volatile, stressful environment, because your health is paramount, and you don't want to jeopardize that at all. So thanks for taking the time to watch this. I know it was potentially disjointed. I don't know. I just feel like unfocused because of what I talked about earlier in the video. But thanks for watching. Truly appreciate time that you took to view this, and hopefully the next video will be done with a much better beginning. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's get our subscriptions up and likes up as well. And be sure to you can go to my Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Michelot Comics, and to keep the lights on and inks fill, go to patreon.com/Michelot Lully. Thanks again for taking the time to view this podcast, and hope you guys have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Peace.